settle for some. Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick here, dropping in on you. Hope everybody is. It's Saturday. I hope everybody has had a great week. Hope everybody has gotten off to a great start on your weekend. Uh, Before I get started, I want to take a brief moment and say thank you to everybody who has shown love through this extremely difficult time in my life as I find my way forward in dealing with what can only be described as a time of devastation. Um, and it sort of kind of ties into what I want to talk to you about today. But I want to say thank you for all of those who dropped in and expressed your uh, support and love. And the thing that really stood out to me, and it made me proud uh, while in my pain, was I could see the love I had for my wife in the way you guys responded. Nobody attacked her, and she doesn't deserve to be attacked. While my pain in finding that she's in a different space right now uh, is immense, she has a right to be there. I don't agree with it. Uh, Not in the slightest, but I explained to everybody else I did what I was supposed to do as a man, and I have to be okay with that. But everybody's dealing with things and in spaces, and I don't want any negativity or negative energy to go towards her. And that's what I saw. Everybody was loving on both of us. Everybody was talking about praying for both of us. Everybody was saying, hey, we're going to hold you up. And there were some people out there saying, hey, it's not over till it's over. Some people out there hoping for reconciliation. And I just want to say, in the deepest recesses of my soul, I am so thankful, because even in the responses, I could see how I loved my wife, because I held her in such regard. Nobody felt comfortable in coming at her, or they saw her from what I presented and the few times that I've shared her stuff on here. And that's it for me. I have no animosity or anger. I'm hurt. But you know, I've recovered for some pretty devastating things in the past, and I'll move forward. And I just want to say thank you for the love. Next, we still have work to do. One of the things I'll be doing is I'll be burying myself in my work to cover up for that time uh, that would normally be dedicated towards being a husband for the time being. I'm going to immerse myself in work and be the best I can be in my business, the best I can be in my community work. And that leads me to the fact that there are a lot of young Black teens, male and female, but specifically young Black boys, that could go either way, that need the support that we are able to offer. But we need your support to make it happen. I'm going to challenge you. We've got to step up our game. There's way too much needed and way too little resources to make it happen. And it's not because we don't have it. It's because there are all these mental and emotional blocks that are blocking us from being unified. And that's the thing here, is unification. And I'm here to talk about a young girl in the Houston area, 16-year-old sophomore at Nimitz High School, which is familiar to me because Nimitz was one of the rival schools to my high school when I was in high school and played high school ball. Nimitz was in our district, so we played Nimitz every year. Um, and so I'm familiar with the school. Nimitz is also the school that Marion did some work with in the Aldine School District. So, I have some familiarity with the school on a number of different levels, and I participated in that as well. But we have some familiarity with that. And so, and it happened right around the corner from where my sister lives. So it's all these different connectivities. But this mom had a boyfriend, a live-in boyfriend, who she was leaving home with this girl, and she went out of town and got a call from the girl, and obviously some things were going on, and he had the girl held captive at gunpoint, and eventually he shot her. And the people outside said they heard one shot, and then they heard screaming, and then they heard a couple of more shots. And so he shot her multiple times and killed a 16-year-old baby. And it bothers me, and here's why it bothers me as a black man and as a black father, and still until I'm not a black husband. And that is, when you've ever heard me talk about my children, I refer to our 13 children. That's her 6 and my 7. Um, that we merged together. You never hear me say step. You never hear me say her children. You always hear me say our children. As a matter of fact, the first communication that we've had since that dreaded day wasn't me contacting her to talk about us. It was me contacting her about our kids, and to ensure that the line of communication is always open to them, and that they understand that nothing has changed and I'm still here. That was the first line of communication. It wasn't about us. And I made, that was my point. My point was, I'm still present. I may not be in the house, but I'm still present, and I'm still going to handle mine with my kids. And as long as they want to be loved on by me as a father, they're going to be. And I said all of that to say, as a person who has reared, and and let me clarify something else. And I don't do this often, but out of the 7 I have, only 5 are biologically mine. Out of the 7 I brought into this, the first one that's not my biological is my oldest. When I met her mom, I was going into college, uh, getting ready to start this whole football thing, and she was a toddler, I think 9, 10 months old. And I got with her mom, and man, we were close. That baby slept on my chest. And right now we communicate, and every year she is probably the most grateful of all my kids, because she tells me that she thanks me for not letting her grow up without a dad. The next one is actually another daughter. That's why this really bothers me, is another daughter who's 30, 31. And she happened to be a cousin of one of my exes, and my son's mom. And I took her in because her brother passed away, and that was the only male role model she had. And she had a liking to me, and I brought her into my house. And even after me and her cousin broke up, she stayed with me. And I saw her through college. I saw her get married, buy our first house, all of this. And so I have this love, and I have this desire as a man to be something. And don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. I don't. That's not what I'm trying to. I'm not trying to paint. Oh, look at this great guy. No, no, no. I'm far from perfect, but I have an idea of what it means to be a man, and how you have to be protective of your children and the youth, and you have to love on the women. And sometimes loving on the women comes when they might not be that loving in return. And you still got to know how to do it, because, we've got a whole group of men that'll sit up and say, because I'm taking this beating and I'm not angry and I'm not looking for a way to go after her, and I'm a simp. No, I got a lot of energy that I want to put into building something. You can't build tearing down. You can't do the same. You can't do that at the same time. You cannot build something while spending your energy and effort being destructive. So I decided to be positive, and I know I'm strong enough to get through wherever it is I got to go through. And it's not going, unless I die in this, and it won't be because this happened. It'll be because I hadn't taken care of myself, and I let myself get bad enough to where I had 5 heart attacks 2 years ago. And that's a long-term recovery process. I still haven't got 100%. But again, now I got a lot more time to be in the gym. So, I'm going to take the positive out of this, and I'm going to build something in it, and I'm going to grow something in it. And so I'm not going to be negative. But the thing is, when I look at this baby and I see this man have an opportunity to be a positive force in this baby's life, and he terrorizes her, and you can only imagine why it led to that. He didn't just sit up one day and get mad at her and say, I'm going to kill you. it's more than likely, and I've done this because this is what I do for a living, is I help people deal with trauma. And I've dealt with this so much with Black women, is she probably got to the point where she finally said, I'm gonna tell my software is the number one what the agile world tool recommended by teams. It's used by project managers, developers, scrum masters. It really sorry about that, y'all. Uh got so many tabs up, stuff just pops up. I'm sorry. But look, so she probably stood up and told him, hey, I'm gonna tell my mom when she gets back. Or, or whatever. And so now the gig is up. And so now he's panicking. So now he's got her. And once he holds her hostage, and then the authorities know that she's been held captive, his options are becoming more and more restricted and limited by the minute. So then he sits up and then kills her and walks out with his hands up like a coward and tells the police, do whatever you got to do. And so say, well, if you know you're gonna get arrested anyway, why kill her? Because I'd rather go to prison as a murderer than a rapist. That's the kind of coward that does that to a child. And so we're not protecting our kids in a number of different ways. Number one is we need to do a better job. And I'm gonna tell you something. And again, it ties into what I'm going through right now. There has been a long, systematic effort to pull the Black man out of the house. Been going on for a while. And we haven't helped the situation. Let's be honest. We haven't helped the situation. Black men or Black women, we have not helped the situation, but that's been a systemic force. What most people don't realize, though, outside of the systemic force that pushes men out of the house, whether it's prison, whether it's drugs, whether it's finance and the inability to hold down gainful employment. When I say gainful employment, I'm not just talking about having a job consistently. I'm talking about a job that can actually provide the sustenance that your family needs. All of these different things have been done. The deindustrialization of the inner city, which took jobs that Black men could hold that paid well without college degrees, and they were able to take care of that. All that stuff came out. Plants shut down in Detroit, plants shut down in New York, New Jersey, and in the Midwest, and so many other places where Black men were thriving. That was a reason there was a migration from the South and Mississippi throughout the Midwest, all the way up to Chicago. There were jobs, there was opportunities where Black men can get jobs and literally support their families, and the wife didn't have to work. And that started to change in the late 50s and the 60s, and it was not by accident. But that's not where I'm here now. What I'm here now is a lot of people are aware of that. Many aren't, but a lot of people are. But what few people are aware of, there is a spiritual force at play to move the Black man out of the house. And I'm not talking about trifling Black men that are living on Black women, sitting around playing with their pubic hairs, watching television, no job, not supporting, paying any bills. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the guy that's showing up, the guy that's trying to be everything he can be, the guy that's trying to do it right, the guy that will be willing to take on the responsibility of raising someone else's seed as their own, the guy that will be willing to put everything before himself and pass on so many things that if he was selfish, he could have. That guy is the one they're pulling out of the house, not the bum, but the guy who can be a difference maker, the guy who can lead the family, the guy who can cover the family, the guy who can protect the family. And then what is pushed in the place of that protector when the protector is pushed out, drawn out, dragged out, whatever? Trash. Somebody that's just there to get whatever they can get for themselves. They have no capacity to love. They have no capacity to cover. They have no capacity to protect. And a lot of that is on us. We have to be better prepared. We need to build stronger Black men. We need to create environments and situations and mechanisms through which Black men can gain their footing and be everything they need to be in the home. We have a responsibility to do that. When I created and designed black men lead as a rite of passage, which is how it started years ago, was simply a rite of passage. It was a way of socializing young black males into black manhood, a unique experience that no other man in this country or this world, to be truthful, could understand. The experience of the black man is unique. There's no other man in this world that deals with things and faces things and lives in the situation that the black man lives in. This is not a cop out. This is not a complaint. This is simply a realistic, verifiable, and truth. But the thing is, in the right state of mind, being properly prepared and being properly connected with other black men with like minds, we are more than capable of taking it on. I have proven this in my life, that coming from a bad situation, being in a bad situation, having the tag of black man on your back does not mean that suffering is your lot in life, failure is your lot in life. It doesn't mean, it means that you got to man up. It means that they have stacked the deck and you're going to have to raise your level of performance in this world in order to be able to do the things that are necessary in order to be who you need to be in the community. The community can't afford men that fold. The community can't afford men that are going, man, you can't do nothing with them boys. The community can't afford coward men who sit up and realize that we didn't do what we were supposed to for the previous two generations. And now they've run amok for the last 25, 30 years in our communities. And we don't have control. We don't have any place. We're not viewed and respected. I go into communities all the time. And all I carry with me is my authenticity. Oh, yeah, in a little heat, because I don't plan on going down trying to help you. So if you can't take the help and you want to try to hurt me, I will defend myself and I will defend my family to the death. But my goal is not to take a black life, it's to save it. It is to give it a future. It is to change the way it sees the world so that it becomes a force of power, of love, of hope, and what the community needs. See, we need our men protecting our babies, not harming them. We need our men being forces of power in our community. When I look at this story, this child was failed and she's just one of many. We need to know who we're bringing in our homes. We need to have men checking. We need to have men checking and learning. And that individualism that we live in, it makes it difficult because nobody wants to do what they need to do. Nobody wants to be the person that's saying, what's going on over here? Everybody, I'm gonna mind my business. That's not my business. No, we can't do that. The village has to return. The village and the community has to become one again. We cannot do this any other way. And a part of it is building strong black men that can anchor black households. I tell you, there is a major force spiritually, politically, socially, to pull black men out of black homes. We can't allow that to happen. That's too much at stake. And black women, don't let anyone convince you that it's easier without a good man than it is with one, because with one comes responsibility and accountability. If you got a man that's willing to stand there with you, if you got a man that'll get out in front and take the brunt of what's coming, he can't take it all, but if he could take the brunt of what's coming so that it doesn't touch you, you got something good. I heard someone say that the value of a real good man isn't really truly understood until he's removed, because only then will you realize just how much you were protected from. The man, first and foremost, is a protector. Yes, he needs to be a provider, but he needs to be more. Another thing that I think that we've lost, and one thing I teach black men, is we don't have priests in our home anymore. We don't have enough men who know how to go before God. And I'm not talking on a religious level and all of that systematic scripted stuff. I'm talking about a real true spiritual connection that you understand something's bigger. It's bigger than you. It's purpose, it's destiny, it's an assignment. So people who were wondering, man, like what's really going through your mind? See, I'm not just mourning the loss of a woman. I'm mourning the loss of my role. There's nothing I identified more. You guys know this. There's nothing I identified more with than being a husband to my wife. Next was a father, but I mean, that thing was longevity. See, the father thing, kids grow up. They grow up, they go do their own thing. They tell you I'm grown and they don't want to hear it until they get into a bind and they come back and they want you to help them get out of it. But that marriage thing, that bond thing, that was something that was supposed to be lifelong. It's supposed to go through it. And there's going to be difficult times. There's going to be times where things are just really out. That's life. You can't go through life and think everything's going to be great all the time. And you cannot go through life ignoring the great things because all you want to do is focus on the negative things. I'm telling you guys this because there's someone out there that needs to hear it. But what I'll tell you is we need more men who identify with the role of being a protector, a provider, a promoter. I gave y'all the 5 P's of manhood. Go check out that series. But you need a protector, you need a provider, you need a promoter. What's a promoter? A promoter is that person in the home that spends more time uplifting and shining light on the gifts of the people in the home than they do big up in themselves. You know, I had this thing I would do with my girls, all the way back to my oldest daughter, the one I just talked about, who's 36 now, be 37 in September. Goodness. Um, but I would pass by any of my girls in the house, and we see each other, and no matter how many times a day we would pass, cross paths in the house, I would say, "Well, who's the most beautiful girl in the world?" And she say, "I am, Daddy." And I said, "Well, what can you do if you put your mind to it?" I could do anything. The sky's the limit. That's absolutely right. I had something different for the boys, but with the girls, I would sit up and I would tell them that, and on and on. Eventually, a couple of my daughters caught me. Well, actually, 3 of them caught me, and I had to explain how all 3 of them was the most beautiful girl in the world. But I was able to do it. But the thing is, I was establishing something in them. I was establishing something. Out of those 3, the 2 that I mentioned, they married their first, still married. Not saying anything's perfect, but I'm saying one has been married 15 plus years, another one 7 or 8 years, and they got guys that sort of relate to me and actually gravitate towards me. And what am I saying? We are underestimating the power of manhood and the necessity of it being centered in our homes, in our communities, and leading not by saying I'm the head and beating your chest and calling yourself a king and talking about you a leader. I'm talking about you lead by being out front in a way that anything that wants to come after what is behind you knows without any doubt that to get to what's behind you, it has to come through you. The one thing that I can die in certainty of is that I fought hard to be that person out front. Whether I was perfect doing it or not, I wasn't, but I was a protector, never brought harm to anybody in that house. Um, did nothing but uplift and challenge. Oh, I'm challenging. You can't just walk around here and be average. No, we're not doing that. But I challenge, sometimes kids don't want to be challenged, so they buck. That's kids. What am I saying? I'm saying we got to do better. And I'm really hoping that you guys will really support the work that we're doing and that we really want to do. Because what I want to do with Black Man Lead, which is more than just a rite of passage. Now, we have wraparound services. We have mental health resources. We have skill training resources for males. We have job search and other things, and we'll study expanding. But what I want to do is I want to take the rite of passage nationally. I want to take it into cities, first the major cities, and find communities where children have people who really care about them, and teach men how to execute this rite of passage. To start with boys as young as 4 years old, bring them into the program and consistently model manhood, teach manhood, drill manhood until it is inculcated into their literal psyches, and that they cannot be separated from it, so that when the times get tough and the times get hard, they can hang in there, that they can become and do what it is they're going to do, so that when the things don't go their way, they don't fold. That's what I want to do. And I'm challenging everybody that watches these videos, support the work we do. I'm telling you, I'm going to go all out. Nothing's changed with me in the sense of my love for my people. Nothing's changed with me except something has been taken. And I will recover whatever is taken. God has promised that whatever is taken will be recovered. You know, it will be restored. I don't know what that means for my marriage, but I know that I will find myself leading a home. I know that much. And I will do the best I can. But what I can tell you in the interim, I'm gonna love on my kids. I'm gonna love on your kids. I'm gonna love on all the kids that people are bringing to me. And I need your support, so we're not just sitting up patting kids on the shoulder, that we're giving them something that they can work with. We're developing them, because the little boys we're developing today will become the young men your daughters connect with, the young men who will either protect or terrorize your communities, the little boys that will either be contributors to the empowerment or perpetrators of the destruction of our community. That's something that we need to understand. That's something I'm challenging you to do. The link is in the description box. Click the link and give. I mean, give, because we have work to do. If you don't like doing it through a link, you can always Cash App it. The organization's Cash App is in the description box and will always be there. But I'm calling you out. Make this Saturday the biggest giving Saturday that we've ever had. Now, it doesn't take much, because I can tell you, in the fundraiser that we've been doing, this one is going on 6 months. It's going on 6 months. The goal was $10,000. I think last I checked, we were at 605, 700, something like that. So there's a lot to be done, but I'm not giving up. I'm not quitting. I'm not falling apart. I'm just not built to quit and fold in any area. I'm fighting some battles on major fronts, but I'm not going to sit in a corner weep and whine and point fingers and blame. And no, I'm finna live my life to the fullest and give it everything I've got. I don't know when I'm leaving this place, but I know that when I leave this place, I want to know that I have left a legacy that will speak of me after I'm gone. That's what I want. That's what my plan is. That's how I plan to do this. Is I am going to bust my ass for my business so that I'm leaving my family something, and I'm going to bust my ass for my people so I'm leaving them with better than what I started with. And that's got to be our goal. But we're not going to do it by commenting, oh my God. We're not going to do it by sitting up and going, that's the horrible thing. This is, you know, I you that whole shaking my head stuff and oh my God stuff is nothing. But that's how we've been conditioned to respond to terrible things. Instead of taking action to change it, we just, oh my God, and then we act like we've responded to it. We've contributed. No, you didn't contribute. You just simply reacted to something. We need more than just reacting. We are losing. There are battles being waged for the minds of our children, and we're losing. Social media is destroying their sense of self. Social media is destroying their self-image, their self-esteem, their self-confidence. Social media is literally picking them apart. There is a universal systematic attack on the home. And we're treating it way too casually. Way too casually. That's why when you guys responded to my conversation about what I'm going through in my marriage and the love you shown, not just me, but my wife, that really truly settled my spirit. Because sometimes you're wondering, maybe I didn't do what I felt I was doing. But then when you talk to people and people are talking about how they watched you with, that situation, how they observed you. Some of the people I'm talking about people I've talked to that I'm close to, but I'm also watching people who have observed from afar. And it's the same reading. Dude, all you did was love on her. And, uh, but thank you. I mean, thank you, thank you, thank you. But that's got to be the mindset of men. And see, I'll tell you though, in talking to men, men won't admit it because we don't like to admit we're afraid of something. We don't like to admit that things cause us uh, trepidation and concern. But there are a lot of men who are really true. I mean, good men who are solid in moral standing, solid in integrity and in intestinal fortitude, but they are afraid to get into relationships because they don't trust them anymore. They're afraid that they can get out there and they can bust their ass and go for it. And then one day, bam. Now, women, I don't want to make it seem like this is a victim thing and women blaming because our women have went through horror and they have seen some real terrible times. And a lot of times it has been our men uh, responsible for it. This isn't that type of thing. I'm not painting anybody as the hero and anybody as the villain here. I'm saying real life happens, and sometimes it just doesn't fit what you want it to fit. It doesn't turn out the way you want to turn it out. It doesn't go the direction, but you got to hold fast. You got to make up in your mind that you got to stay up. Sometimes you can't move as fast as you want to in these moments because the weight is so heavy, but you got to stand up. You got to be strong. You got to be focused, and you cannot bend. So, because I'm gonna tell you, there are some things that are happening in life that is so intense that'll make you want to take the cheap way out. It'll make you want to go and just feel like, man, screw all this. I'm gonna just go do this, and I'm gonna just go. And you gotta be no, 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 no. I'm more than just what I'm dealing with right now. I have value in my world and in my life and even in my family and in the community. And I can't sit around and let this moment destroy me. Oh, it doesn't feel good, but I can't let it be so disruptive that it shakes me off of my position. I've got a square that I'm holding tight to, and I'm going to press through and I'm going to push through because it's something bigger than me pulling me. And this is what we have to teach our young boys, how to stand strong when it gets rough, and that you don't go off the deep edge. You don't resort to violence to settle. You sit up and you think and you become and you get stronger, you become better, and you do what you need to do. I'm going to fight for my people as long as I'm breathing. I'm going to love my family as long as I'm breathing. And I'm going to do whatever's necessary to be the best that I can be and leave a legacy. I'm asking you guys to support what I'm doing and watch me do it. Those of you that want to be a part of it beyond just supporting it financially, do that. But we need you to show up, show out today. Man, because that's what I'm telling you. I'm going, all in with this. You know, I'm not going to sit around and whine. I'm not going to sit around and mope. I'm going to put in the work. And to that baby, Lauren Yuma, rest in heaven, young princess. To the mom who seems equally devastated, I really truly believe you had no idea. But that's why it's so important to pay attention to the signs and know what you're going in. It's a shame because there's some men out there that are good, that love on their stepchildren, that love on the children of the women they love with true honesty and genuineness and authenticity. And I'm one of them. And so to see something like that really breaks my heart. But you know what? We've got to do better. We've got to do better. And on that note, look, I'm gonna get ready to get out of here. Hey, Jamie, you've been a blessing. Thank you. Um, thank you so much. You were one of the people that really weighed in and really stabilized me because this isn't easy. Uh, you know, and the one thing I thank God for is that the connection, uh, I mean, there hasn't been any real connection. I mean, communication until I reached out about the kids, but it was not negative. It was not hostile. It was positive in the sense of my role with the kids. So that won't be disrupted. So I still am going to be able to fulfill my role as a father. And we see a lot of that a lot of times. And you can imagine how it can end up when you're not the biological father. But I take my role seriously, and a lot of people won't understand it, and I don't expect you to because we live in a society where so many people are looking for the way out. So when someone says, hey, that's just, I don't have to deal with that no more, but I don't look at it that way. I took honor in dealing with it. I took honor to take on the pressure and the responsibility of doing so much. And so, look, I'm gonna get out of here because I could just be talking. Um, but we need support. So show up, go in there, click that link, or go through Cash App. But we got a lot of money to raise if we're going to deal with all these kids that are in need of so many different things. And literally, I'm on the phone every day with moms and dads and kids and doing this stuff. And this is in addition to what I do at the Visionetics Institute, Rick Wallace Enterprises, and the other stuff. This is this whole thing. I mean, it's crazy. We've got a mental health crisis. And it's getting worse. So we have work to do. Once again, thanks to everybody who has shown me love and support and been kind in your words. The kind words are really, truly uh, healing. And I really appreciate it. And I want to thank you. And on that note, look, I'm going to get ready to get off of here. Hopefully, I'll drop in and talk to you guys again. Got time. So, on that note,